Hello everybody, Jonathan Mills Patrick here with you again with another Southbound interview, and today I have my very good friend Doug Mentor. Doug, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for joining me from the beautiful land of Canada. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm up here in the Greater Toronto area, like GTA as they call it.
Okay. Okay, you've even got the acronyms down now.
Oh yeah, eh?
So what's going on in Canada?
All right, man. Had to come up here, hang out with my girlfriend for the holidays, and taking actually a training class in early January. So staying up here for that, and looking forward to learning more to help entrepreneurs.
Yeah, getting a mix of business and pleasure. So that's great. You'll have to tell me all about it when you get back to Knoxville. We've known each other for quite a while, mostly through the startup community in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then we were on the board of Fairview Technology Center, the incubator. And of course, you're still on that board. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do right now?
Yeah, I'm director of small business development for the Knoxville Chamber and run the Propel Program and also lead our diversity efforts.
Yeah, very good. And why don't you tell everybody kind of the idea behind the Propel program? I think it's a great thing you're doing. And also, while you're talking about it, you might talk about, I believe you told me it's sort of getting some recognition out in the chamber community in general.
Yeah, so Propel is basically what it is to propel your business. Very simple. We take successful entrepreneurs that are mentors and attach them with small businesses and startups to try to help them grow.
And so you assign them a mentor to work with on an ongoing basis. How long is the program?
It's a 2-year program.
Okay,
Tell everybody it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
right.
It's an arduous process,
Sure.
but a small business is already arduous.
That's right. We know all about it.
So we add a little arduousness to it, but it's a great way to combine three things that we think are essential: mentorship, peer-to-peer interactions, as well as the classroom kind of technical help.
Yeah, I'd like to get into a little bit of that, but first, maybe you could tell us how the Propel program came to be. I don't think wasn't an out of the box program necessarily. It's something sort of you brought with your experience to the chamber. Is that right?
Yeah, so having been an entrepreneur most of my life, I sold my last company in 2008. Sat down with Mike Edwards at the chamber and said, "Hey, what benefited me the most was having mentors, even in my successes as well as the failures."
Absolutely.
Right? Having those mentors helps kind of grease the tracks a little bit. And so I wanted to bring that concept to the chamber, and they liked the concept, and so here we are today.
Yeah, and it's getting some recognition. You were telling me last time we were in person, sort of within the chamber community. Is that right? Other chambers are recognizing it and wanting to mimic sort of what you're doing.
Absolutely. We spread the program to Hampton Roads, Virginia,
Okay.
Evansville, Indiana, chambers all across the country. I sit on a chamber board, and chambers all across the country call us all the time to ask us, "How did you do this? We're thinking about doing something similar." And so mentorship to me is the missing link that's left. You can't control access to capital.
Right.
I mean, you can try to encourage it. You can encourage the atmosphere. You can't really change your customer base so much. You got to get yourself in front of the customers, but you can't really change that too much.
Sure.
There's so many things that small businesses can't change. The one thing we think atmospherically that we can change and we can control as chambers of commerce is access to mentors.
Absolutely.
That's an influence, and so we're pushing that theory out across the country and locally.
Yeah, and how long has the program been around?
8 years.
8 years
Started
now.
in 2008.
So you kind of got it down to science to a degree, I would think. And are the mentors, are they applying to be part of the program, or are you identifying people within the community that you think would be a great mentor? And does it take someone that's, in our community, we can think of easily these quote unquote successful business owners. Do they have to be that, or is it just that, do they have to be the expert in their field, or could you say that they also are just maybe even just a few steps ahead of the person that they're mentoring? Maybe you could kind of tie all that in.
Sure. So we prefer to take people that have a proven track record of success, and that's always revenue
And is
based,
there,
right?
okay, so that's defined by revenue.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's defined by you made money because that's what it's about.
Oh, I see.
That's
So the idea of net revenue, not that you have revenue, but you've had a ton of expenses and are losing money, but it's actually that you're making money and providing back a return.
you've been successful,
Okay.
right? And you are currently an entrepreneur in ongoing success. We try not to get people who were successful and not in business. We
Sure.
want people to be in that real time kind of mode.
Right.
Because there's that nuance of being an entrepreneur, an active entrepreneur, that you got to feel it in the times of today. Because what it took to be successful in the 70s may not apply
Right.
today. So most of our companies are successful companies, ongoing businesses, or leaders of businesses, and we attach them with a protege that we call it, or a mentee.
Okay. Okay. And so then they're working with them in a somewhat structured environment, but then you mentioned also the mentees, the folks going through the Propel program are also going through some other type of learning beyond just working with their mentor. I know you've had me come speak to that group before. I guess it's a classroom setting in some degree as well.
Absolutely. So there's three major components. So one is we have a boot camp that starts at the beginning of each of the years. Our years start in July, and we run through a boot camp. The next thing is after the boot camp, there's monthly meetings that we call meetups.
Okay.
There's meetups, and that's the peer-to-peer learning. We'll have guest speakers come in, but that's primarily to give a safe place for businesses to voice our successes and what's keeping us up at night.
Sure.
You know, your issues, and there's a ton of learning that goes on in there. That it's amazing with 25 plus people in the room. All those are small businesses going through the same issues, and it's really cathartic to have a safe place to voice those concerns. And then you meet with your mentor once a month, and that is building that relationship. And then outside of that, we also have support from SCORE for technical assistance,
Okay.
and our main provider of technical assistance is the Tennessee Small Business Development Center.
So other support organizations that have experts that have different topic based knowledge, and you bring them in to sort of work with them as well. I know SCORE is one of those programs, and we're both very familiar with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, Bruce Hayes and his team. So, okay.
Absolutely. And that's vital. That's vital to have that technical backup, because you don't want to waste all your time, because we only have 2 hours a month with the mentors.
Okay.
So we don't want to waste time with the mentors on technical, in the weeds issues. It's more that vision. This is what made me successful, and I want to give that to you so that you can take that as a template for your own success.
Okay, so if I'm bringing this together, Doug, then the mentors are sort of providing that high level strategic vision and idea and pointing fingers, saying, think about this, maybe you should do this, that kind of thing. And then they have what I might call a mastermind group of peers that they can get with and sort of deal with their trials and tribulations, and then you're rounding that off with the support organizations that bring the real technical aspects of here's how you market, here's how you raise capital, here's how you do these various accounting, various things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Is there an application process from the the participant standpoint that want to be involved in Propel, and how many do you take in a given session?
Yeah, absolutely. We take about 15 new firms each year. The application process generally starts around April.
Mm-hmm.
There's applications online now. You can apply pretty much any time. Come in, talk to us about the program, say, hey, I'm interested. Let us help you with one-on-one counseling until the application period. So it's kind of a constant moving. We don't have to wait until July to help you out. So one of the core components of Propel is we provide one-on-one counseling.
Okay.
And it's really simple. You just come in with whatever issue you have, and I stole this from the Chattanooga Entrepreneur Center. We're like air traffic control.
Gotcha.
You get where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And that's where we find a lot of our proteges is in those one-on-one meetings. And we identify people and say, hey, I think we could really help you grow to the next level.
And what are you hearing feedback from the participants? What's sort of the biggest issues that maybe you've noticed or heard feedback on that they tend to struggle with on a regular basis that that type of information on the front end might have helped out with?
I tell you what, time management.
Hmm.
We'll say cash. Cash is
Cash is
always,
always an issue, yeah.
but you can't manage cash until you manage your time.
uh,
There, I see time management say, Doug, I want to do this assignment. I know I have to do X or get to this next step. I just don't have time because they're too busy servicing their customers or providing something in their business. And you have to take that one day a week to focus on the technical issues of your business, be it cash, be it marketing,
right.
be it whatever. You got to take that time away. It's just as valuable as serving a client.
So I'm just curious, do you see, is it, so just bear with me while I run through this thought process going on in my head. Is it really that they don't have time, or could it be partially that they're focused on a lot of the wrong things and they're spending time in the wrong places, sort of chasing different ideas and different things that they're maybe not as focused on the core components of the business that they really need to be? Is that any part of it at all?
Absolutely.
It is.
But again, to me, all of that is time management. And you, if you have one day a week, even if you're focused on the wrong thing or not prioritizing things, again, to me, that's all time management.
Right.
You got to know what your priorities are and go on Friday, every Friday at 11 o'clock. I'm looking at my cash for the previous week.
So you actually recommend that they block it off on a calendar.
You got to. It's just no different than servicing a client,
Right.
right? So we have a dress shop that's in our group now,
Okay.
and she time management is their biggest nemesis.
Do they know
Yeah,
it?
yeah, they got to have cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, employee issues. They've got an aging employee staff. There's a ton of issues, but you got to take the time to sit down and go, what's important? What's first things first? And let's put that in place.
Mm-hmm.
That management of time is so critical.
It's almost
It,
the idea of working in your business, not on your business, that whole debate that goes on consistently.
we teach that all the time. You got to work on it, not in it.
Do you have
And
any?
that's the difference between, to me, a small business and a company.
Ah,
And a company can be a small business.
sure.
And you want that small business to run like a company where you don't have to be there to make money. You don't have to be involved in every single process.
Do you find they have a hard time letting go? The founders have a hard time letting go of a variety of things.
It's their
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. It's it's
Absolutely.
it's their child, and they don't want to give it up to somebody else. But in
Absolutely.
order to grow and get where they're going to go, they have to really get to that. And so that probably comes back to another topic we can talk about another time, which is talent acquisition and those type of things.
Huge.
Yeah.
Big.
So anything beyond time management that sticks out that they tend to struggle with on the, especially on
I,
the front end?
second thing you just mentioned it is time is talent
Uh,
acquisition. Is knowing who to trust. What are the components of the person that you need to hire? What does that look like? And too many times they get involved in personality, but they're looking at the charisma and not the core personality traits, the real meat of what that person's value is.
I see.
We teach all of our proteges go through a personality test during boot camp called How to Fascinate.
Interesting.
It's expensive, it's less than $20, and I tell people, just pay the money and make anybody that you hire go through a personality test, because it's going to point out what their fascination is, what their true value is, and what are the areas that they're not as fascinating in.
And is that similar to like a disc profile type idea?
It's actually to me, more user friendly than Disc,
Okay.
because it's video based, it's online, it's instant. You don't
Interesting.
need a party to explain it to you because of the nomenclature.
Uh-huh.
Love Disc, I love Myers-Briggs, I love all of those tests. But you have to really be almost a scientist to really break them apart and
Sure.
learn to apply them. How to Fascinate is pretty easy. It boils it down to you once you take the test, you get a profile of this is who you are, this is your prototype. A lot of videos that explain this is the good things about this prototype. These are the areas that aren't so good. And it really shows you how the world sees you, which is really good.
Yeah,
That's
that's very interesting.
how is the world going to perceive this person? How are my customers going to interact with this person?
And I imagine it goes into even how the founder might interact with this individual and what drives them and those type things. Yeah, very.
And the tools are easy to pick up very quickly. And Sally Hogshead's a good friend of mine, and she developed this test. And I think she's at over 500,000 people have taken this test. So it's a really, really well-versed test. It dovetails nicely if you've taken other tests.
Mm-hmm.
Taken DISC or Myers-Briggs or some of the other tests, it dovetails really nicely. Or Herman Brain, which is a great test for creative folks. It's amazing. One of our proteges actually teaches that personality test.
Very interesting. Well, let's switch gears for just a minute and talk a little bit about just the future of Propel and where you see that going. I know you've ran businesses before and moved on from those. You could say that this is sort of your own entrepreneurial journey inside the chamber.
Absolutely.
What's next for Propel? Where do you see it going? Do you feel like the model is to push it out and help other institutions bring it to their culture?
Absolutely. I think primarily where we think we are going now is we've gotten to a place where Growth Wheel is our curriculum. Growth Wheel is a national curriculum, and it is a great worksheet-based curriculum that anybody can pick up, get value almost immediately. So It's quick, easy, user-friendly. Once we had established the curriculum, now we're really focused on the expansion piece. We've expanded out into rural areas of Innovation Valley in East Tennessee,
right?
And that's amazing. So now I think our next big vision is to do an international program.
Interesting. Okay.
So one of the things that I think is critical is every city has an international company in it. And so what we want to do is use them as mentors to other international companies to expand what they're doing here, and allow us to connect with American companies. Primarily in Canada will be our first kind of international goal. And we've talking with chambers all through Tennessee, Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, and also in the Toronto area. We've talked to all those chambers there, and everybody's like, yeah, we'd love to do something like this.
Makes sense. How do you gauge success for the program? You and I have talked about this offline a little bit. What's sort of the metrics you use to gauge the success for the participants?
And if there's a third thing every business has to do, that's a problem, is measuring what success looks like.
Sure.
You know, you got to measure gross revenue. You got to measure net profit. You got to measure your margins. And we're no different. For us, it is that marginal gross margin success, net revenue success, job attainment.
Jobs, okay.
There's a piece that's qualitative that we're trying to figure out how to measure, and that's quality of life. Like,
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I think we get often wrapped up in the idea and sort of hustle and everything for the career, which is great, but it's nice to look at the idea of lifestyle incorporated as well.
Yeah, it's so critical. I don't see very many people really focusing on the technical aspects of creating that quality of life that you want, because isn't that why you're in business, to pursue that ultimate quality of life?
Right. Well, however you define that, right? More money, more time, more freedom, whatever.
Exactly. And then Zach Miller, who is with Hatch in Norfolk, Virginia, who has he runs the Propel Mentor Protege program up there. And that's one of the things that they talk about a lot. And I was so happy that he did that.
Absolutely.
And he sent a message out recently saying, hey, is it about bills? Is it about money? What is this all about? Because if you're an entrepreneur and it's not about something other than that, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
So quality of life is something we really want to measure, and that's different for everybody.
Sure.
That's one of the things that we will be really pushing a lot harder is, what is it that you ultimately want? What is happiness? And then let's attach the business to that. Because if it's not going to make you happy, you're not going to stay up 18 hours a day doing what it takes to be an entrepreneur. It's not going to last long.
That's it. Yeah, the first time it gets hard, you're going to say, this is ridiculous. There's no reason I should spend my entire life doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
So
got to be a quality of life.
so true. Well, I know time goes fast, but I honestly think that's a fantastic place to end talking about, unless there's just anything else you really feel like you want to share with the audience.
No, I think the quality of life is so critical. Be it, I know I was thinking about what made me happy about being in business, my last business, which
Right.
was an agency. What thrilled me the most? What was my takeaway? After I sold that company, what was my takeaway? You know what, the one thing that made me the happiest
What was
was
that?
being in one of the TV commercials for my agency.
Really? Your son?
That thrilled me so much because he got to see that. He got to be a part of that. And for Christmas, he gave me some cufflinks and a tie pin, and on the back it said, "Leader and Great Dad."
Man, that's hard to beat. That's the best gift ever, right?
Hey, you can't. Hey, put a pin in me. I'm done.
Yeah, that's it. I've accomplished all I need to do. My legacy is set. I'm
done.
good.
And so I think that quality of life piece is so critically important. I mean, time management. You got to manage the time so you can have quality time. You have to pick great people to be around you, so that you can have that quality of life. And if you stay focused on those three things, the cash, the technical assistance, all that kind of stuff, that's easy to go get. It really is easy to go get that stuff. It's not easy to create quality of life. It's not easy to find the right people. It's not easy to get great mentors. And those are the things that we're focused on. Those are the three things we're focused on: managing your time, getting great people around you so you can have a quality of life.
Fantastic, man. Great stuff. Great stuff. And I really appreciate you taking some time out of your trip to Canada to share that information. People are going to love it.
Thanks for doing this, eh?
Yeah. Hey, so just one last thing. Where can people, if they wanted to connect with you, how could they reach you? Twitter or something like that?
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Doug Mentor. I'm pretty open on Facebook.
Yeah. And your Twitter handle, I think, is DMentor. Is that right?
Yep,
And Mentor, Minter.
Yep. And on Facebook, Doug Mentor. You can reach out on LinkedIn, or call the chamber.
Call the Knoxville Chamber. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your trip to share this information with everybody. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for doing this. I look forward to your videos.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Doug.
All right. Take care.